Do. We're all going on a... If you went on a summer holiday and you came here to Hollywood, you would love it. Guaranteed. However, I also love travelling around and meeting up with old pals. Sir Cliff Richard is someone I've known for something like 30 years. We first met on a tennis court. Don't mention it. I also did a gig with them many years ago at Wimbledon Theatre, where I sang in the first half, whole lot of shaking going on. I didn't realise that Sir Cliff was going to sing it in the second half. He sang it again and he said, I know Ross did it earlier, but I do it better. And he did. I got to meet up with them. Can you believe Sir Cliff is 80 this year? We went to Fort Lauderdale to catch up with the man himself, and probably one of my favourite chats of the year. So there it is. I cannot, and I'm sure the world cannot believe that it is the big 8-0 coming.
I can believe it. I mean, really? I've lived it all, and I'm trying to sort of... People say, well, you're going to have a big party. I said, I'd rather have 3 or 4 small ones, you know. Mm-hmm. I remember on my 70th, there were 200 people, and I couldn't speak to everybody. Yeah. I guess it was just having them all there that was nice. But no, the 80, I think the original title for my tour was going to be the 80th birthday tour. And I said, oh, we've done that, 70th birthday tour, 75th birthday tour. And I was speaking to myself saying, well, I feel great. At 80, I like the fact that it sounds good. The Great 80 Tour. It's all that TTTs.
Yeah.
Is it onomatopoeic?
No, it rhymes.
I suppose so, but it's that...
No, yeah, 80 Tour.
Yeah, the Great 80 Tour comes off the tongue really easily. Like your cake will. How fantastic.
And it's going to take you all over the country.
Yes. Yes, I mean, I can't remember all the dates, but
that's all right.
I'm sure that I start way up north. I've got it written down here somewhere.
Yeah,
Gateshead, Glasgow.
Then you're going to finish up at Albert Hall.
Oh, look, now that I've found it. Look, Gateshead, Glasgow, Blackpool, Birmingham, Nottingham, Sheffield, Manchester, Bournemouth, Brighton, and the Albert Hall in London.
Too nice. Done. Jobs are good. Now, it's funny you do that, because I do consider myself very fortunate to have known you a long time and to have worked with you lots of times. So when it came to my questions for today,
there's nothing on there.
Because I thought, we've chatted about so many things, but...
You bought the wrong piece of paper, come on, admit it.
No. Brexit, this is the only thing that what's your take on Brexit? Because everyone's baffled.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody's really quite explained it, or certainly at the beginning. I mean, I wasn't allowed to vote anyway. I think I would be tempted to have stayed, only because, you know, we were I think the 5th or maybe the 3rd largest economy in the world. Our little triangular of an island was doing pretty well, and I didn't feel any need to move away from it. Yeah, I can understand saying, oh, it would be great if you were just English and British again, but why throw away, you know, when things weren't that bad? But anyway, it's just the confusion. You know, the backstop, I didn't even know what that was until about 4 or 5 months ago. and it's a problem. And nobody actually thrashed out the problems before we all, well, I didn't vote. Because I reside in Barbados, I didn't get the vote. But we didn't really know enough about it, I suppose. But anyway, look, if the country wants to move out, you have to be democratic and say, okay, done.
What do you love to talk about?
I usually like to talk about recording sessions, because of all the things that show business brings to you, my favorite part of it is recording. I still consider myself a recording artist. And that's how I started my career. My career started by going into that Studio 2 in Abbey Road, Norrie Paramore up in the box. I had to play the guitar, although it wasn't plugged in, because he said, you're not singing it very well. He said, I'll tell you what, pick up your guitar, hold the guitar. I held the guitar and I didn't move it. And since that time, for me, singing duets with people, and of course nowadays, even though I'm not always there when they're making the track with all the band, and even some of the duets, I did a duet with Bonnie Tyler recently. She put her voice on in Surrey and I put it on in Miami. So for me, I've always loved the fact that you go into the studio with a bunch of songs and then suddenly, after a few goes at it, it's Devil Woman, or we don't talk anymore. So I've always found that the most exciting thing to talk about, the fact that you're using thousands of dollars and pounds of machinery, and you don't have to pay for that. You just pay for the session.
What do you hate talking about?
I dislike talking about my family now because there's been a couple of times. I can give you an example. My sister Joan and I, we sort of lived closer to each other, so we talked a lot about things. And my sister Jackie also was with her, and they're the ones that found a home for my mother who had dementia. And Joan and I were talking once in Portugal. She lives in Portugal. And she said to me, and we were just thinking, oh my goodness, maybe it'll happen to us. She said, well, if it happens to me, will you look after me? I went, of course I will. I'll put you in a cell. So we were having a joke about it, and she said, and if anything happens to you, I'll look after you. And I told this to a journalist, and then they wrote that Cliff and his sister have made a suicide pact. And my sister was so upset, and I said, well, you know we didn't. We were just having a fun, trying to, dealing with a person, a mother particularly, or any family member that has dementia is really not very easy. And so we were trying to make light of it and in easing it off for ourselves. So it's talking about my family now. I only used an instance like that to explain why I don't like talking about family or friends. They're not in show business, and the press have no need to have any opinion about them. But everything's fine. I mean, again, meeting you like this, I mean, every time we come, I'm doing something. And for me, Brexit, Hexit, who cares, Rocket. It's in the end, I'll be going out on tour and the fans will show up, hopefully will show up, and I'll have my band. They know what I do. They don't always know what I'm going to do. And I like talking about that too. Yeah. But I have to say that of all the things, the second best is live. The first is making that record. And then when you sing that record, on stage, and you get a comment on a letter saying, it sounded like the record. It's fantastic, because actual fact, folks, it's actually impossible to sound like the record. When you're in a studio, when I recorded the last album, Rise Up, you're in a studio, headphones, your voice is all you hear. You hear no air conditioning sounds. It's chilly, isn't it? No air conditioning sounds, no traffic sounds. It is perfect, and all you get is your voice. On stage, there's 5,000 people out there coughing and sneezing and laughing and cheering, and it's never going to be quite the same. But if you can convince somebody that it does sound like the record, to me that's the best accolade an artist can have. Life's pretty good for me now, and also as you age, as your success continues, and this is what I didn't expect. We talked about this earlier before, when I got here earlier. I didn't dream. I dreamed about being like Elvis. And then suddenly I had a career, and we were competitors together. And I love that. But did I think it was going to go on for 60 years? No, I didn't think I'd ever be 60 years old, let alone have a career that's lasted 60 years. So I'm shocked about everything and thrilled about everything. I think I've been probably the luckiest pop star that ever lived.
And you've worked the hardest too. Let's be honest. It's like the harder you practice, the luckier you get.
It's amazing, because when people say, what's the best thing in your career that you can remember that's happened? And it's so easy to say, it's the 14 number ones. But yes, they were really important, but what came out of the blue was the knighthood. This letter arrived. I was living in Surrey then, and a letter arrived. I opened it and I had to read it again. It said, from the Prime Minister's office, your name has been put forward to the Queen to receive a knighthood. Would you be pleased to receive it? Well, I started to laugh, and in fact it was hysteria. I wasn't laughing at it. I couldn't stop laughing for ages, maybe 10 minutes. Every time I looked at the letter, I fell about with laughter. And of course I went, yes, please. So it was because it was so off the radar for me. You remember, the knighthoods went to big businessmen who were helping our economy to grow, great writers, great actors, and not to pop singers though. So when it happened to me, it was out of the blue. And of course, it's nice for me to have another first. I was the first pop singer to get one. And technically, of course, no, technically I was the first. Bob Geldof got one, but his is only an honorary version. Bob, sorry, Bob. No, but because he's Irish, they wanted desperately to really honor him for that fabulous job he did with the whole Live Aid, which was unbelievable what he did, and they did. But because he's Irish, he couldn't be a proper one.
You were number one again.
First,
number
one
again.
first.
You've been famous for so long. The hits came, fairly early in your life. Has it been hard to have friendships? Have friends come and gone? To know who's real, to know who's not?
Very rarely. There's only a couple of times in my life that I feel that somebody I thought were friends pulled away.
Yeah.
And that's unusual anyway. And maybe it's a good thing. And people that stay with you just because of who you are, what you are, they're not really friends anyway. But these were people I thought were friends, really good friends, but they didn't survive. And it had nothing to do with me. So no, most of the time I meet people all over the place. I love coming to America. I'm not really known here. Yes, when I had a haircut in New York once, the guy, how they talk. Oh yeah, what do you do for a living, sir? I'm click, click, click. I'm saying, I sing. Make any money at it? I go, well, yeah, I've done pretty good. He said, do you make records? I went, yeah. He said, anything I'd know? I said, put your sisters down. She's just a devil woman. And he sings, with evil on her. He said, that's you? I went, yeah. He said, well, what's your name? I said, Cliff Richard. He said, never heard of you. So I love coming here. I can get around unrecognized. In New York, I can walk these busy streets. Yeah, every now and then you'll bump into someone from Japan or somewhere in Europe, Britain, and they might stop. But otherwise, I walk around freely. I have a very ordinary life in America. I like going to Florida too, although Florida is very popular with the Brits. So you have to choose your time if you want to be absolutely anonymous. Yeah. But otherwise, they're not really a bother really. No one really bothers me. And so America's a haven. It's so funny for me. It's got 600 million people. Or is it, no, 300 million people. And I come here to get away from the crowds.
You are the embodiment. You are the inspiration that age, it's a number, it doesn't matter.
No, I said I'm one of the luckiest pop stars that's ever lived. I've been lucky in one respect with the music, but the other aspect of my life has been not being sick. In 61 years now, I think I've only cancelled about 4 times, and that's because my voice disappeared, and I've never really been sick. And I've only spent 1 night in hospital, I have a gallbladder removed, and that's it. And somehow or another, I've been blessed with good health, and that's a major, major factor in any walk of life. I remember Federer, when he was asked, Federer, tennis player, when he was asked, what do you put your success down to? I think he said, it was a big number, he said, I would put 50% down to the fact that I've never been injured. He's been fit, and therefore he stayed right there. And maybe it's helped me to stay in competition with everybody because I've never had any terrible illness. Yeah. So and it's not something, yes, maybe going on this diet has helped me, well, not diet, but lifestyle. I'm sure I feel it has helped me in a great deal. But in the end, keep moving. If you want to stay young, do not let the joints get stuck. And so if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl.
And when you saw that number 80, you were just like, bring it on.
The Great 80 Tour. I love it. I love the sound of it, and it's going to be fun. I'm sure it'll be fun. And it's because, partly now, it's because people don't expect me to be still doing it. And therefore, it's one up for me that I can say, here I am. And I hope you will come and see me, but having said that, but it's a part of the process of getting older is to be able to surprise people to say, yes, I am older. There's nothing can change the fact that I am 80 years old next year. And I have tried to become, have you heard that phrase, older and wiser? Well, all I've done is get older. So now I'm trying to get wiser. Hence, I'm trying to cut my life down and get it more sort of running in one channel. And I'm succeeding at that. I don't do 4-month tours anymore. So I'm trying to take it easier, but I'm not stopping. So that's it.
Ever?
Not ever.
Brilliant. Thank you, Pat.
Cheers, my friend. Thank you.
Now, if you've enjoyed our little chat, and I hope you have, and you'd like some more, then all you have to do is click right here for some more Good Morning Showbiz videos.